Hey everybody, this is Marcel, Canadian journalist, Ernie Racing News. I just had to show everybody at 1921 on this Rebel News story from 17 hours ago. It's about Kamloops, the First Nation band claiming that there was 215 bodies underneath the school, kids, babies, they're claiming genocide. So this has been going on for many years. The RCMP did an 8-year investigation, found nothing. And the band chief that once claimed that there was 200 and some children buried there now says, oh, there's 215 anomalies. So that's the official record from the chief. And there is like a going on at the university in Kamloops, and it just shows the indoctrination of the liberals, young and old. They are absolutely cannot think for themselves. And this is a perfect example with this pink hair. We're going to call her the blue hair, but pink hair is the same, just different color. And take a watch, guys, and we'll talk after.
If they were to use the $12 million they were given to dig like they were supposed to, and they found there were no bodies, do you think white Canadians deserve to know that? And do you think that's good news?
I'm going to be honest, I don't think that I can comprehend that question right now because I have so many feelings about what's happening. I'm really angry, and I don't think I can answer it with a clear head right now.
Sure.
Okay, so I had to send this to my brother and my whole family, actually, because this is just a perfect example of the blue hair, no common sense, no ability to think, and when they're stumped on their indoctrination, following, the lies of the blue hairs around them, what do they say when they don't know what to say to keep their narrative? And so I kind of quoted it. The pink hair at the end of the video, Kamloops University, I linked, perfectly sums up the blue hair's ability to think. Watch it, 1920. So I kind of paraphrased, quoted the pink hair. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I can comprehend the question now because I have so many feelings and I'm angry. And then later on, she'll ask her another question, which we'll watch, and she says, I think I'm going to stop answering these questions. She doesn't know what to say because her narrative is destroyed when you actually have a chance to talk about it instead of yelling, which is the whole video is just everybody yelling and not having any conversation. So let's go back. Oh yeah, and then my brother says they are insane. Universities are communist on indoctrination camps, 100%. Okay, one more time.
Bodies. Do you think white Canadians deserve to know that? And do you think that's good news?
I'm going to be honest, I don't think that I can comprehend that question right now because I have so many feelings about what's happening. I'm really angry, and I don't think I can answer it with a clear head right now.
Sure. The RCMP has come out saying they've done an 8-year-long investigation and found no evidence of mass murder or anything like that. If it's true that there are not 215 bodies, consistent with the other bands that have dug, what does that mean for the claims that residential schools were genocide?
I think I'm going to stop answering these questions.
Okay, I appreciate talking with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I think you
Oh, sorry. Let's hear what she says.
saw and got a taste for what was happening here. Let me know in the comments. I will take a look through. I am very interested to see what you thought about what took place here today.
Oh yeah, so that's Drea Humphrey. I forgot her name initially. She does excellent journalism as opposed to our communist broadcasting and CTV and how they fund actually Castanet in Kelowna through who was bought out by a large company that's owned by Google, but owned by Alphabet for all, if you didn't know. So they're all getting money, and if they don't run the liberal agenda, they don't get the money from government, the subsidies. It's such bullshit. So anyways, they're all completely running a narrative. But yeah, I mean, I'll show you a couple clips for earlier on where everyone's screaming and you can see like, can you believe this is the university students that are replacing the elderly, us older, generations of Canadians? Like, this is what has been brought up. This is the young and obviously some of the old, but this is the new young generation of Canadians who have no ability to think. They won't answer questions when it doesn't fit their narrative. They never question anything. And they literally, they're such pussies, in the largest sense of it all. Such pussy Canadians. They will never survive. They will never survive hard times. And of course, the times are only going to get harder. And so they'll just be waiting for the socialist communist government handouts to save them.
Extra.
So the question is, are there 215 children who were buried clandestinely at the Kamloops Senior Residential School?
And what do you think the solution is? To dig up the dead bodies?
Yes.
Do you not think these children have suffered enough?
But you're assuming there's children there.
We have nothing but good in this country, and you're ruining it.
I'm saying I'm assuming these bodies have been found, but you're assuming that the bands are misusing this money and they're not actually bodies. So we're all assuming things then, right?
We have the documents.
We also know that there's money that was earmarked for this that was never used for this. So let's get to the bottom of it then, and let's use that money that was already...
Mind you, I think it's $12.8 million that the government gave the chief of the Kamloops band to, because they made such a big thing about, we got to dig them up. So we're like, okay, we'll give you $12.8 million to go and find these bodies. And then no digging ever happened. And the money went into the chief's pocket and the chief's reserve friend pockets. Just the same liberal policies that are just same thing in the bands. There's total corruption always with leaders. And it gets to certain degrees. And so the argument is, it's like, the money wasn't used for this. So let's get that money back and use it for what it is, because you guys keep claiming there's bodies under there. The investigation and everybody else is saying they're not. All the evidence is pointing. So let's verify. But no, the blue hairs, the pink hairs. No. We don't want to. Who cares about the money? It's not about the money. And we don't want to dig up dead bodies. That's super mean. That's mean.
Okay, if you want to investigate what is happening with the money, but I don't understand why you have to do it in this format. You are upsetting people.
Even if I was wrong, I shouldn't have been fired. But in this case, I was right. There's no evidence. So you're saying 215, and you know that no one's going to ever dig there.
Okay, and so that professor or teacher at this university, he was fired for questioning, this, that again, no free speech in Canada, right? So he was like, well, let's look at the evidence about, is there 215 bodies? Well, the RCMP investigation ended up saying there is no bodies. And okay, the government gave him $12+ million to dig them up and they never did. So, the question, the evidence is not there. Let's finish it up. And so if you question the narrative of the blue hairs, you get fired. And then I'm going to show you the back to the pink hair.
Did you know that there's at least 4 other bands that have excavated? They thought there were unmarked graves, and when they dug, they found nothing?
I don't think that's relevant to the fact that there was bodies found in Kamloops.
Did you know?
Did you know there were 4 other bands that suspected bodies and got government money to dig them up, and then they found nothing? Oh, I don't think that's relevant. There's definitely bodies in Kamloops, though.
They never dug, and that it's impossible to make the claim with ground-penetrating radar?
I think it sounds like your questions are starting to side with one of these opinions.
Actually,
I don't think that's relevant to the fact that there was bodies found in Kamloops.
did you know they never dug?
There was no bodies found in Kamloops. These blue hairs are so stupid. Pink hair, blue hairs. One more time. I mean, we just got to make fun of this pink hair.
At least 4 other bands that have excavated. They thought there were unmarked graves, and when they dug, they found nothing?
I don't think that's relevant to the fact that there was bodies found in Kamloops.
Did you know they never dug, and that it's impossible to make the claim with ground-penetrating radar?
I think it sounds like your questions are starting to side with one of these opinions.
Actually, the question was, you said that they found bodies in Kamloops, and the fact is they never dug, so they didn't find any bodies, and the ground-penetrating radar is not proof enough, so let's dig for them. I don't think your questions are siding with my philosophy of blue hair.
Yeah, I'm actually quoting them when I say they no longer call it bodies at the band, they call them anomalies.
Okay, my apologies. Well, when it comes...
You're apologizing for being a pink hair, but then not actually apologizing.
Down to it, I'm a white person with a lot of white privilege. It's not...
Ooh, a white person with white privilege. I'd say you're a pink person with pink privilege.
My part to say what happened in residential schools in the sense of that's not my experience, but I will...
It's not your part to say, but you're here protesting the people talking about it. And actually, some people are getting kind of physically touched and attacked. I'll back up and show you earlier on, attacking an old lady.
Listen and stand with Indigenous voices.
How many...
She stands with Indigenous voices? You mean the ones that took 12.8 million and didn't dig? Like this my video. This is no dig. I'm not digging into the First Nations of Canada. I'm digging into the facts. The facts are they took 12.8 million and didn't dig, and you have all these blue hairs yelling and scaring everybody, intimidating the people, saying, hey, let's have a discussion about this. This gentleman was fired. They won't let us dig. They won't let us do anything. It's a total blockage. Like, such radical blue hair bullshit. And it goes right through the whole liberal. This is liberal indoctrination of this girl, calling herself white privilege, and then she's listening to the voices.
To Kamloops.
Okay, so I watched this earlier. This is a really good section. So he starts to ask this lady, did you interview any actual survivors from this school, whatever, how many years ago this was when they claimed that the bodies where people or children were missing. So, and then the journalist goes in, I've interviewed people, so let's talk about it.
School survivors have you interviewed?
I haven't interviewed. I tried to interview many, but none would.
So you haven't actually spoken to the actual people that were there.
I've listened to their testimonies.
Because a lot of this history isn't written down. It's a lot of oral history, and a lot of that oral history documents verbally how many children were killed or died on these residential schools all across Canada.
I have interviewed some that attended there. Do you have a question for me, given that I have, but I also think the truth should come out about what's there?
I don't have any questions.
Okay, I'll just tell you one thing. When I did interview them, none of them, although they had gone there between 11 and 14 years, had ever heard that there were unmarked graves until 2021 of May. Does that seem weird that they went there for so many years? They met their spouses there.
I'm not sure who you interviewed. I can't speak on that. Sorry.
Will you?
Yeah, it does seem weird. So people who were there never heard of any of the bodies until it was announced recently about a claim about this, this genocide, this liberal claim of genocide, right? Oh, no evidence.
It's about residential school survivors.
I did, and I asked her how many people she interviewed.
Well, I'm a journalist. She's a professor,
Yeah.
so I interview people, and I have interviewed people. I even interviewed the chief, too. And did you know the chief no longer says that there are 215 remains there?
They never said any. Actually, there's the media that says that.
No, it's... Sir, did you want me to show you their claim on May 27th of 2021? They said the kids were as young as 3 years old.
All right. All right, so let's just use a little AI overview, guys, here on Brave, actually, I'm using. So the chief, Roseanne Casimir, clarifies the language. So anyways, initial announcement was May 2021. The First Nation announced the ground-penetrating radar survey had found confirmation of the remains of 215 children. So clarification, in subsequent updates on May 2024, they said the First Nation leadership changed the wording to anomalies. And jumping ahead here, belief of unmarked burials. Chief Casimir has consistently stated that the investigators' findings to date are consistent with the presence of unmarked burials, end quote, indicating that while forensic confirmation is pending excavation, the belief that the anomalies are graves remains. Yet they got the money for excavation and they were not doing it. They keeping the money, have no intent to actually do that. No excavation yet. No excavation has occurred, which is the only way to definitely confirm if human remains are present. Now let's look over at a communist broadcasting station. And so it's talking about, this was May, the day of reflection in 2024. But you scroll through this, they tell their story. This is from the CBC. So the story, shares the story. There's the school. And up to 500 students registered, blah, blah, blah. And while the number 215 has become a symbol of the children lost, so they go in, search continues. Since 2001 announcement, many First Nations across Canada have employed ground-penetrating radar, so it goes into that. Now, at least 145 First Nations are receiving federal money for site searches, research, and memorials, according to the federal government. So you got the Liberals giving all these people money, and not once in this whole article does it mention that they didn't dig. They got the money and no digs. And this is how CBC then continues to manipulate it. I'm not even going to say it, 12.5 million in funding for a new healing center. Well, that's not what the money was for. This is March 23rd, 2023. The First Nation will receive 12.5 million funding towards the construction of a new healing center for the community nearly 2 years after suspected grave sites were discovered at a former residential school. So suspected grave sites. So they suspect, but they're supposed to. Fast forward, the nation announced in May 2021 the ground-penetrating radar had located the suspected grave sites in an old apple orchard at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School, which operated for more than 80 years. Again, suspected. Give us money on our suspicion. And here you have the Liberals. Canada will continue to support the survivors, their families, and the affected communities through their healing journey on their own terms. Yeah, well, we're not going to actually get any evidence. We're not going to prove it wrong, though. We're not actually going to dig. Oh, we could go on for days searching around the internet, but here's February of last year. No evidence of mass graves or genocide in residential schools, and of course there's a whole article about it. Let's go back to the main story.
Detected by ground-penetrating radar. So you're defending a claim that they no longer make. Why?
I'm not defending any claim.
Okay, 7th of 2021? They said the kids were as young as 3 years old, detected by ground-penetrating radar. So you're defending a claim that they no longer make.
Let's get back to the ground-penetrating radar. It just shows something in the soil has been moved around from the consistency of the soil. So the soil looks like, a nice grain of a river sands, and then all of a sudden there's some swooshes in different shapes. That's all they're basing it on, is like the ground has some anomalies in the ground where it's not consistently like a nice smooth base where it's like, kind of like if you just drew dots or lines across the paper and all of a sudden there's some waves in there. That it doesn't prove anything. That's why if you're looking for gold, you actually have to dig for it.
Why?
I'm not defending any claim.
Okay, well, I spoke to people who attended there for many years.
I don't know who you spoke to, so I'm sorry. I'm not.
Then why did you ask the question?
I didn't ask it of you. I asked it of her.
Okay, but I'm a journalist. I ask questions. She's a...
Residential schools took almost 100% Indigenous kids. So that's why we're saying it about that.
First,
That's more than
insane because the parents wanted them there because they wanted their kid to have an education. They wanted their kids there to have an education.
Can you say some were taken?
Very few cases of that, and I'm saying that
happened, right?
With their orphans, or they were being abused at home, or they didn't have the necessities of life.
Well, guys, this video is getting long. Hopefully you slaved through it like me as I'm recording it, but yeah, so anyways. Oh, and for all the hate, if I'm going to get some hate, I have nothing against First Nation people. I love First Nation people. In fact, I had a partner in crime who was First Nation from Quebec, of all places, if anybody goes back in my YouTube. So I dated and it was a partner with a First Nation girl for many years. You may know her as MB, so don't give me any shit about that. So this is just, we're talking about indoctrinated youth and who don't want to find the truth. This all comes down to, we have people you have chiefs, you have liberals, you have prime ministers and their caucus and cabinet. They're all just a bunch of liars and we all just want to get to the truth and nobody wants to talk about the truth. That's what this is about. Transparency and an actual investigation and actual conclusions, not being blocked by bullshit blue hairs and non-common sense. This is Ernie Racine News, Canadian journalist reporting. Oh, and I'm doing this on November something. What is the date today? November 14th. Cheers.